we go. Welcome, people. It's a bit of a different setting this week. Well, it's for only a little short one. Jerome, unfortunately, is not with us tomorrow, but this is the start of something new, the start of something big. Jerome has got his own show, and we just made it up on the spot 5 minutes ago. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, we're going to basically be doing little player profiles on the youth that have been recently bought from clubs around the globe, youth that get new contracts. We're going to give you little updates on how they're doing, what kind of players they are, and what their chances are of coming through into their first team. Today, we have two Chelsea youths that Frank Lampard himself said they're going to be potentially the next two to come through at Chelsea, or at least going to be training with the first team. Jerome, who are they and what have they got?
Yeah, so as you said, a couple of players, both 18-year-olds. We'll start with the first one that's actually just gone out on loan. A left-back, originally from Holland, called Maatsen. As I said, he's originally from Holland. He actually started his youth career at Feyenoord, where rumour has it they thought that he might be potentially too small, which is why they got rid of him. Yeah,
that's such an old school way of thinking. He's too. How small is he?
Yeah. Also, when he was there, he might have only been. Well, he's 5'6" now, but when he was there, you're talking, quite a good few years ago. I mean, he would only been maybe 12 or 13, and you see it where people have these growth spurts later on. So, bit of a weird reason, if that is the case, why they got rid of him. So yeah, he started at Feyenoord, then he went to another Dutch team, Sparta Rotterdam, and then ended up at PSV. And that is where Chelsea signed him from in 2018, so a couple of years ago. He is predominantly a left back. However, he is very versatile, and despite his size, he has actually played centre back before. They also believe he can play, as well as left back, left wing back, central midfield as well. And because he can play central midfield, you've got to think that technically he must be at quite a high level, because it's very rare that you see a fullback playing central midfield. You've got your Philip Lahm that's done it before, Kimmich, Bayern Munich, but not many players play fullback predominantly and then playing centre midfield. So technically they think he's at a high level. He actually signed a new deal recently at Chelsea to 2024. But yeah, he's going to be playing in League One for Charlton this season.
Hey, it's my local club. Go on, Charlton.
He'll be there under Bowyer.
I'll be keeping an eye on him. And Bowyer is a very honest manager. I've seen him like just stand there in an interview before and talk about, the club's not running too well at the moment. Maybe a couple of the chairmen might go, and the players ain't playing too well, but we can pick it back up. And he's just like super honest. So he's under a good coach. Yeah,
that's it. He actually has already played for Chelsea. He made his debut last season in the Carabao Cup. Okay. He came on as a sub. They were playing Grimsby. He came on with about 20 odd minutes to go. They eventually won the game 7-1. So I guess that's like the perfect game to have as your debut.
Yeah,
perfect. In terms of what he's like, he travels very well with the ball. Very good in possession. Bowyer said he's actually described him as being very ambitious with the ball. So like a left back that want to get forward and sort of help create chances for the attackers. What I thought, something that stood out to me when I was watching him is he's got, it might sound a bit silly, he's got very sort of light, soft feet. You remember when, he's not the same player, but when Walcott first burst on the scene, like he could run through paddles without making a splash. That sort of thing, where he's just super light on his feet. Yeah. Some people have said, obviously, because of his height, he could get targeted a bit in terms of balls coming in maybe to the far post and stuff. But that's such, I don't know. You can see that, but I don't think it's something that would stand out at all.
The thing is, to get to the level that he's at now, he would have already had managers targeting him because of his size. So the bigger player would have already been doing that in the under-23s and the under-18s, and especially in ages before that when they were saying that he was probably too small to even make it.
Yeah.
And he would have been tested like that. So that would have sort of, he'd have been used to that kind of targeting.
That's it. And I think fullbacks generally are normally a little bit smaller anyway. They're a bit more agile, speedy. Yeah, they really think a lot of this guy. And yeah, he's already played for the first team, trained with them, obviously. Now, not the only thing, but he's obviously going to have competition when he goes back to Chelsea because they've just bought Chilwell, who's not exactly near the end of his career. I think Chilwell's only 23. But it's good to have him sort of maybe as competition for Chilwell, perhaps next season, see how he gets on loan.
Yeah.
And it's a good backup to have, perhaps.
Yeah, because they did actually have problems with left back. They weren't too happy with Alonso, so it probably makes sense to get in someone who is come through the ranks and playing in that position. Many different factors, but it probably makes sense to have him there more than someone who's earning 120, 130 grand a week. So yes, good chance of him getting through there to sort of at least being a squad player.
Yeah, and playing in League One, that's a great test because that is proper rough and tumble. It will improve him probably physically as well, playing against those sort of players, those sort of teams,
and mentally as well, because Charlton are a team that they want to be coming back straight into the Championship, so it's going to be high demand for them.
Yeah, but I mean, signing a long-term contract, they obviously think a lot of him. And he's played so many times for Dutch youth teams as well. I think right the way from under 15 to under 18s. So yeah, he's really highly thought of. Ian Maatsen.
All right, Ian Maatsen should be seeing you sometime in the near future as a Chelsea left back.
Yeah.
Who we got next?
So the next one is actually, funnily enough, he's a player that made his debut in the same game as Ian Maatsen. He also came on against Grimsby last season in the Carabao Cup.
Okay.
He's called Tino Anjorin. He's not like Ian Maatsen. He's actually been at Chelsea pretty much his whole career, his whole youth career. He joined them when he was 6 years old. Now, when I first saw videos of him, I thought, this guy looks like a good centre forward. And then I was doing a bit more sort of research, and he's actually a box-to-box midfielder. But when you see clips of him, the way he finishes is like a striker.
He looks like a target man.
Yeah, he does. He's 6'1", so he's he's built well. He's represented England at youth team level, but he is actually eligible to play for Nigeria as well through his dad.
Okay.
Very, very much a goal-scoring midfielder, and has been likened to Lampard.
Yeah.
In terms of the way he plays. Before COVID, he was actually Chelsea's top scorer from midfield, scoring more goals than the attackers, more goals than the strikers. And he ended up with 11 goals in 23 games, that's a record that strikers would be proud of.
Yeah.
Now, he has actually made an appearance in the Premier League. He came on last season against Everton.
Okay.
For a little bit.
In midfield as well?
Yeah, midfield, again, just like Ian Maatsen, he signed a 5-year contract as well till 2024. And the fact that Barkley has left on loan could perhaps be, we might see a little bit in this season, perhaps.
Do you think that's why Lampard's brought him through, because he sees a little bit of him in him?
Yeah, possibly. I think when there's like clamour from the fans as well, and you're seeing all these comparisons, it just sort of builds it up, doesn't it? The fans' minds, they're excited about seeing him. Very strong, very powerful. The way he strikes the ball, like he's one of those, when he hits it, it stays hit.
Yeah.
Like you've seen the net is, it looks like he's going to like rip the net off some of his finishes.
Au revoir kind of style.
Yeah. He doesn't hang about. He strikes it so clean. So he's only 18, but he's 19 next month.
So has there been any clubs in for loan for him, or is it just it's going to bide his time at Chelsea and hopefully get some game time?
Yeah, there might have been. I didn't see any clubs
Hmm.
sort of interested in him, although they might have been without me knowing. But I think all the noises that he's going to get some chances. I think
Yeah.
in Chelsea's team.
And for once, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Chelsea team that you actually, for a youngster, you actually might get a few minutes or get some game time at least.
That's it. I think that's something that Lampard is thinking of, is he wants to play the youth. I mean, he's given Billy Gilmore a chance.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mason Mount is he's a regular fixture now, isn't he?
Yeah.
In the team.
Tammy Abraham, Reece James,
Yeah.
Tamuri.
Yeah.
This is. I've never seen I've not seen a Chelsea team like this in years. I can't even remember a Chelsea team where so many players have come through the ranks.
You know what? Chelsea have always had excellent youth teams. Like, their youth teams win a lot. But under previous managers, they would go out on. They used to have a record, didn't they? They used to have like the most amount of players out on loan.
Yeah.
But now it seems as though there's not light at the end of the tunnel, but you can see a way to the first team now.
Well, that's the thing. If a player, there was a lot of players that were sort of Chelsea were going for, that they didn't go to Chelsea because of previous, like, recent history where they weren't coming through, and players would just stagnate in the youth team and then be sold to a second division Dutch team in the end. That's no sort of, there's no hope for the young players, the youth players coming through. So at least there's some sort of carrot dangled that they can chase. So no, it's good. It's good because, like you said, I remember watching Chelsea in the FA Youth Cup and then absolutely demolishing Arsenal.
Yeah,
and then seeing none of them players coming through.
Yeah. And you're seeing the players that they're up against for other teams will come through.
Yeah.
For their teams.
Yeah, like there's a couple. The one called I think his name's John Skip. He's at Sheffield United. Sheffield United won him, but he's at Reading. But he came on for Chelsea and he lit up the place in the final. Another one called Kawamya, and I see him playing for like a League One team. And it's just like these players were like the best in their age, and now they're having to come up in a different direction from another team, and that's because you sat in the reserve team until you got released or bought later on, because. Yeah. Clubs need to see whether these youngsters can play men's football. So that's the most important thing. They can be good at a youth level or Premier League too, but they want to see if they can play men's football.
And I'm sure these two aren't the only ones. There's probably more that are sort of slightly younger than these guys that will come through next as well. It's just a conveyor belt there.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Thank you very much, Jerome. It's the start. We're going to have to come up with some catchy name. But yeah, thank you very much for that. Hopefully we get to see these two Chelsea youth players soon. And you can definitely catch them playing at Charlton, because 100% Ian Maatsen will be playing at Charlton, because they need players. All right, thanks for that, Jerome.
Pleasure.
Take care, mate.
Cheers. See ya.